Let me ask you a quick question. Who is your ideal client? And try to answer that in one phrase. You got it? Most service-based business owners or agency owners can't answer this clearly, and it's costing them thousands and even tens of thousands of dollars every single month just because they don't know how to answer this really simple question. And why does this happen? Because they try to work with every single person that shows interest. They throw a wide net out there hoping that, something will stick and that people will come to them. But here's the truth. Casting a wide net never works, and it actually pushes the right client away. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to define your ideal client, how to write messages that actually converts them, and how to generate those ideal clients effortlessly. And by the end of this video, you know exactly who to target and what to say. So your next client chases you instead of the other way around. So let's get into it. Most service-based businesses fail not because their service isn't good, but because they're trying to sell to everyone and no one at the same time. It sounds counterintuitive, right? And you might be thinking, but if I market to more people, I get more clients. Isn't that better? Actually, no. And here's why. When you try to appeal to a huge group of people, your ads, they become generic. They don't speak to anyone specifically, so people don't feel like the ad is targeted to them, so they scroll past it. Two, the copy in your emails or your website, it gets ignored. Because if your message could apply to everyone, it resonates with no one. And three, your calls are filled with people who, aren't a good fit. So let's take an example so you really understand this. Imagine you want to help businesses with social media, and you think, why not help all small businesses so I get more leads and I get more clients, which is casting the wide net I was talking about. Makes sense, right? If I target more businesses, I'll get more leads and I get more clients. Until you realize what small businesses really mean. A small business could be, a one-person coach trying to find their, first client. It could be a small local coffee trying to get more customers. Or it could be a 50 people marketing agency with a whole team already managing their social media. So do you see the problem here? That's a huge difference between who they are, what they need, and how much they can spend. So what happens when your messaging is that broad? No one feels like it's actually talking to them, so they don't take action. So you end up spending hours every single week speaking to people who would never hire you, simply because you haven't clearly defined who is it that you actually want to work with. And the irony of it all is that you might have an amazing service. You know your craft, have results, and can truly help businesses. If you're not clear on who you're serving, your effort, goes to waste. And here's a clear takeaway. If you're not clear about your ideal client, you're wasting time, money, and energy. You might think that you're marketing your service, but really you're marketing confusion. So how do you fix this? How do you stop wasting time on people who will never hire you in the first place and start attracting the clients you actually want? And it all comes down on getting crystal clear on who your ideal client is. And here's a simple 4-step framework you can follow. So the first step is to define your dream client. So think about the type of businesses you love working with, and ask yourself, what industry are they in? How big is their team? What problems do they desperately need solved? And what kind of budgets do they have to pay for, a solution like mine? And be specific. The more details you can identify, the easier it will be to directly speak to them. Step 2 is to directly speak to their pain points. Once you know who they are, tailor your messaging to their needs. Don't just say, and coming back to our social media example, I help small businesses with social media. Instead, try something like, I help one-person coaching businesses land 3 to 5 clients every single month using social media. Or I help small local coffees fill their tables without wasting money on ads. Notice how much more specific and attractive that sounds. That's because it speaks to a real problem that your ideal client has. Step 3 is to show the transformation. People don't just buy services, they buy results. And your messaging should clearly show 2 things. First, where they are now. It could be struggling, frustrated, or wasting time. And second, where they could be after working with you. So this is your chance to paint the picture of their dream outcome so they can see themselves already benefiting from your services. Step 4 and final step is to make them feel understood. When your message is specific, your audience thinks, this person gets me. And that emotional connection is what turns strangers into leads and leads into clients. And to make them feel understood, you can use stories, examples, case studies to reinforce your point. So here's the main takeaway. Clarity is your secret weapon. When you know exactly who you serve and what they need, everything changes. Your ads, your emails, your calls, your copy, your conversations, your conversions. So instead of wasting energy and time on people who are never going to work with you, you start attracting the right clients, your dream clients to you. They come to you and want to work with you. So if you want to start wasting time on people who will never hire you and start attracting the right people who will hire you on the spot, there's one thing you can do. The fastest way to fix this is to book a free strategy call with me. On this call, we'll figure out who your dream ideal client is, what their problems are, and how you can position yourself in a way that makes them want to work with you. If we decide that working together isn't a good fit at the moment, you'll still walk away with some clarity and some action steps that you can take right after the call. So click the first link in the description to book a call, and let's make sure that your next clients are actually good ones for your business.